Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out today. This is a great event, and I didn't expect it to show up like church. No one wants the front row. If anybody wants to come up, yeah, Scott. Scott's a front row guy. Plenty of seats right up here. Yeah, come on. These look like a couple of young men that like firemen, right? I've got a young man that he sees cops, and he likes cops, but then he sees firemen, and it's kind of a different thing, right? Right? No, Chief? Not Chief Johnson? Okay, all right. Really, thanks for being here. This is such a special event for our city. I know it's a special event for Chief Hales and his family, obviously, but this is a great event for the Public Safety Department of Spanish Fork. So thank you for being here in this beautiful building today. Welcome to Station 62. This is one of the places that we always love to highlight in our city now that it's up and running and functional. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for keeping this place going. If you don't know, I'm Mike Mendenhall. I'll be conducting this swearing-in ceremony today for Chief Edward M. Hales. How often are you called Edward? Just when you're in trouble? Okay.
My grandmother was about the only one that called me that.
Grandma. All right. So following the line of Grandma and calling him Edward. But we welcome Eddie Hales. I'd like to thank the members of the City Council that are here today with me. Councilman Gordon, Councilman Beck, and Councilwoman Beck, and Councilman Euler. Councilman Argyle had to leave to another event, and Councilman Marshall is still at work today. So grateful for our city manager, Seth Perrins, to be here as well. Would like to recognize members of Eddie's family that are here with us today. First of all, Eddie's dad, Mark Hales, right here, sitting next to his son. His mom, Barbara McFarland, and her husband, Jerry, right here. Thank you for being here. Eddie's son, Brandon Hales. Is he here? You see Brandon? Stepdaughter Brooklyn and her husband Trey Whitney. You see them here, right here. Thank you. And grandsons Liam and Ollie. Liam and Ollie right here. Sweet name. I love it, dude. Cool. And brother Danny Hales and his nephews Mason and Hudson. Right here, Danny. I saw Danny before, and I challenged him to bench later after this. He took me up on it. We're in trouble. Okay. He did say he's not in the business. He does something else other than the fire business, right? Okay. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. A huge, important part of an event like this is to have family support, and it's obviously showing here today. Would like to welcome those attending from other agencies around the county as well and around the state. We appreciate your support. I did see American Fork trucks outside. Who drove the American Fork truck here? All right, somebody grab the keys and make him walk back or something. The other fork is here, and we got nervous when we walked up and saw the American Fork truck. We're like, is this a hostile takeover? Are they trying to take Eddie back, or what are we doing? So we'll keep an eye on the American Fork trucks. No, we really do appreciate everybody that's here from all over the county, other agencies. Again, this is a big deal for Spanish Fork, but it's a big deal, I would say, for the south end of Utah County. I see the chief from Payson here as well, so thank you for being here. We'll begin today's ceremony with the presentation of the colors by the Spanish Fork Police Department, which is a great way to start every ceremony that we do. So I'll turn it over to them.
Honor guard, attention. Port arms. Forward march. Mark time. Ready, halt. Ready, face. Present colors. The audience, please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor guard, post colors. Port arms. Right face. Forward march.
Could we please give the honor guard a round of applause for that? It's now my opportunity to give you a few remarks. They give me the hook in these things pretty quick, so I'll just be pretty quick before they pull me off here. But after I speak, we'll hear from our manager, our city manager, Seth Perrins, and then we'll go to the swearing-in ceremony with Fire Chief, retired Fire Chief Eddie's dad, Mark Hales, doing the swearing-in. And then we'll hear from Eddie Hales. I hope he's prepared. 30, 45 minutes, an hour, something like that? Okay, all right. Really, it's great to be here today. Like I've already said, I won't say much more than simply last week being in a political convention atmosphere where I saw politicians of all persuasions stand up and talk about what was important, what their vision was for Utah County and some for the state. I blame Councilman Gordon. He's running for commissioner right now, so he made me go to the dang event, and it was a full Saturday of listening to politicians. So if you ever want to do something like that, follow Gordon around. But I will tell you, as I've thought about what to say here today, as elected leaders, you talk about the important things in a community, whether that's your city, your county, or your state, and you say, hey, here's a quality of life thing that's so important of why people want to be here. In essence, what it really comes down to is none of that really matters if you don't get this right? If you don't get public safety right, if people don't feel safe and taken care of in their communities, everything else that you try to do after is really tough to get accomplished. And so today's event in swearing in Chief Hales is, I think, an episode in Spanish Fork that we can reflect on and remember and say, hey, here's a new beginning. Here's something that will keep our residents and those traveling through. Obviously, we're here in proximity to Highway 6, where I know our officers, our firefighters, our EMTs spend a lot of time. And most of the time, those aren't residents of Spanish Fork that are coming through and on Highway 6, but they're people traveling through on a trip that could be across the country. But the stories that we get to hear from an elected official standpoint of the care, the heroism, everything else that goes into your job that's just maybe a normal day-to-day thing is truly inspirational. And so I want to thank you for your service that you render to this community, but not just this community, but everybody that passes through it. Because anything we try to do as elected officials, again, falls kind of flat if we don't get this part right. hiring Eddie Hales as our next chief here in Spanish Fork is getting it right. As we had the opportunity to speak and be in the interview process with Chief Hales, I have some memories of how that went, and some that are maybe personal that I'll just keep to myself forever. But some of them of how prepared he was, and I know it's from his service that he's rendered in other cities here, how prepared he was to take care of our agency, of not only knowing what existed in our agency, but also knowing and having concrete steps to continue to lead this into the next decade or more, we hope. Once you get hired here, you never can leave, Eddie. I hope we didn't tell you that, but no. Thank you all again for being here, for your support, for what I consider a moment that we'll again reflect on well into the future in Spanish Fork. I'm excited to have Eddie in the meetings of where we sometimes discuss some pretty tough stuff in a city. But I have full confidence, and I know I share that with the council as well, full confidence in his ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and continue the great service, the great historic service, frankly, that is the Spanish Fork Public Safety Department. The volunteers that have been here for a long, long time and taking care of our needs, sometimes in our toughest hour as citizens and residents. This is a man that will stand shoulder to shoulder with you and bear that burden. I'm confident of that, and I feel lucky to know you and lucky to stand here with you today. So thank you, Chief Hales, and best of luck into the future.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be with all of you, and it's great to be here for what we are doing. And Spanish Fork has a long, proud, and distinguished history providing quality services to our residents. And I express my gratitude to the many people involved in that through the years, our many volunteers, our employees, our leaders, and so many involved in creating and enabling this amazing story that is Spanish Fork. And today, as the mayor mentioned, we're here to celebrate and install a new chapter in the Spanish Fork story. For years, our department and our city has been served and well served by a public safety department. And we've had great leaders in our chiefs there, and amazing leaders in our Chief Adams and other chiefs before him. As transitions go, and they seem sometimes to signal the right time to make changes, and that was the case here with the transition from Chief Adams retiring. And so as we looked at what was the best course, knowing that we would have Chief Matt Johnson take over the police department, we figured it was the right time to make this change. And we're excited for Chief Johnson, our police department, as we look forward to their future. And so we decided to separate public safety into two distinct departments, the police department under Chief Johnson and now our fire and EMS department. And I am excited and welcome the focus and the guidance that will come from this change, having a director over fire and EMS. I remember well a statement made by Chief Jarvis, actually a couple of times, in a few different meetings, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit what Chief Jarvis said. But this is about what he said. I welcome a director who actually knows our business and can fight for the needs and operations of our operations and our community. He might have said it with a few other colorful words than that. I may be misremembering a little bit what he said, but I think I got the gist, right, Chief? That welcome opportunity for a focus on this department. And Chief Hales is that guy. As we progressed through the hiring process, as Mayor mentioned, and frankly, during his first week here on the job, he proved over and over again that he's got the skills, the background, the understanding, the experience, the demeanor, the temperament to lead this new department. I'm confident in Eddie's abilities to guide us through our challenges, our adjustments, our improvements, our corrections, or whatever the future brings with fire and EMS. Chief, welcome to Spanish Fork. You have our full support and our excitement behind and with you. Welcome, Chief.
Raise your arm to the square and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Edward Mark Hales,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Wow, what an honor to be able to have my dad swear me in today. I don't think there's very many people that can stand as a fire chief, probably in this country, and say that their dad was able to swear him in into the office. So Mayor, thank you. Seth, thank you for that opportunity. It was important to him and important to me. I'd like to start off by thanking all of you who've come to be a part of this with me today. It means a lot. I would also be doing a disservice if I didn't thank the men and women of Spanish Fork Fire and EMS that have come and gone before us, who've laid the foundation of this organization, and for the members of the Fire and EMS currently to continue on that tradition of pride, of the services that those people set the foundation for, and continue it to the point that we are today. And we will continue to move this organization forward. As your chief, I will stand by you side by side as we work through those challenges. Each of you here representing public safety today exemplify the finest our services have to offer. We have much to be proud of. I would like to recognize my family and friends who are here supporting me today. I would not be standing here today without those individuals. They went through a lot of challenges having me be in this service. They saw me go through some super hard challenges, but each one of those challenges that I experienced, I have no regret for they've made me the person I am today. And for my family that supported me through everything to get to this point, I'm thankful for you. I am blessed by so many in this profession that raised the bar for me and held me accountable to the highest standards of professionalism. I was always told, don't forget where you came from. And I hope that I've never forgotten where I come from. And I challenge each one of you today that are here wearing the uniform, police, fire, and EMS, that you never forget your roots and your past and where you came from. EMS and firefighting isn't just a profession, it's a calling. Mike Gagliano said at a devotional, and it hit me pretty hard after I heard his words, but he said, there's no more important calling than the calling of being a public servant, serving our communities. Because when people call 911, the next thing they do is say a prayer and say, God, please send someone to help me. And each one of us that wear the uniform today are the answer to that prayer. And so we should hold it as such at a high level and a high calling. Those of us who has had great fortune to serve the public in this honorable career know exactly what I mean when I say that. We've experienced some awful things, we've seen some awful things, but it's rewarding to know we help somebody in their time of need. We have a natural affinity to help others without expecting anything in return. Very few times do we ever get recognized for our service. And the times that we do, we should jump at the opportunity to thank those individuals that are thanking us. because it takes a lot for them to thank us, especially in today's time that we're facing with many challenges and a lot of people who disrespect our services. Fire and EMS is family and a culture like no other that's out there, except for maybe the military. But we have a special thing, we have family. And that is the culture that I want to have here. It's already been here, but it's the culture I want to continue here, to grow close together and become a family. I look behind me today and I see a fire engine and an ambulance. An organization that was once two is now one. Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. And we will embrace it, and we will be one, brothers and sisters that do fire and EMS. Like many of us in the fire and EMS services, I followed in my father's footsteps. My father, who swore me in today, served in the fire service for over 30 years and retired from Pleasant Grove as a fire chief. I'm a fourth-generation firefighter in the Hales family. Started all out in Ohio, in Indianapolis. Sorry, my grandpa came from Ohio, but it started out in Indianapolis and ended up in Pleasant Grove, where I started my career as a volunteer firefighter. And when I say don't forget where you come from, starting out as a volunteer and knowing what the volunteers of Spanish Fork do day in and day out is important to me. And I'm your advocate. I'm here to support you and continue the mission of volunteer firefighting in this city as long as we possibly can. Everyone in this room has sacrificed time away from their family in order to help others. And to me, I am so thankful for each one of you for that sacrifice that you've taken away from your families, because family is important, and not a lot of people can say that they would do what we do to run out of a family party or a Christmas dinner, a child's birthday, to go aid somebody else that did something that got themselves into trouble. There's very few, and you're a couple of those of the service that can say that. Everyone in this room who proudly wears the mantle of firefighter or EMT or is connected to the fire service knows exactly the sacrifices that we make day in and day out. There is deep satisfaction in our association with this service and an abundance of pride. And when I walked in the fire station down at Station 61 for the first time with Seth, when I walked out in the bay, I walked out and I saw a fire station that had clean apparatus, a bay that had a place for everything that needed to be in place, a clean bay, and turnouts nicely tucked away in their lockers. I've worked in career departments that don't have pride like I saw in the moment that I walked into Spanish Fork Station 61. The pride that you as volunteers have is amazing, and you should be proud of that pride, because you have more pride than a lot of people that do this in a career. And so be proud of that and continue to have pride in this organization and dedicate yourselves and to have that pride and continue it throughout the future. Our jobs are changing, and like so many other regions of the country and the world of late, our communities are experiencing their share of turmoil. We are all experiencing some of the stormiest and most demanding issues we have ever seen in the fire and EMS service. Ridicule, fighting for monies to get us the items that we need to be able to do our jobs. COVID has impacted us greatly. We've lost people that we care about to COVID. We've lost members of our organizations due to illness because of COVID. We're facing many, many things. We aren't just firefighters or EMTs anymore. We're civil servants called upon at a moment's notice to answer any call of assistance, any call. Not just medical or fire. It could be somebody had a tree fall down and needs us. It could be cleaning up road debris from a car accident. Many, many things. You know what those things are. As I look around this room and witness pride, professionalism, and genuine dedication to the fire service, it truly fills me with hope. I believe that the best is yet to come for Spanish Fork City and the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. The late Robert F. Kennedy once said, "Few will have the greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events, and in total, all those acts will be written the history of this generation." In closing, I would just like to say I'm so grateful to the leadership of Spanish Fork City and the team members of the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS for putting their faith in me and supporting me as we progress this department into the future. It is my hope that this position will allow me to have a positive influence on our profession at an even higher level. I pledge my dedication to uphold and elevate the impeccable standards of Spanish Fork City, the expectations of Utah Fire and EMS service, and the tenets upon which our great nation was built. I challenge each of you to do the same as we stand side by side and march into the future of our services. Thank you and God bless.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and thank you, Chief Hales. Welcome to a proud city, a proud department, and the home of pride and progress. Thank you again.